Hello, my name's Katy Sandalls. I'm the women's football columnist for the East Anglian Daily Times and Ipswich Star, and I'm also the host of the Glancing Header podcast. Today I'm joined by my colleague Ross Halls, another co-host on the podcast. Ross, how you doing?
I've had better days. I'm still feeling very ill. This cold has stuck with me for about a week and a half. So, yeah, hopefully by this game we're going to be talking about, it's gone by then. But yeah.
So today we're going to be talking about Ipswich Town Women. Who are they? What have they been up to? And more about that impressive FA Cup run that they've been going on. Everything you need to know ahead of the big upcoming game against Manchester City. So Ross, how did Ipswich Town get to this point?
Well, we've had to play 6 games to get to the last 16, which is just too much really. But unfortunately, the level we're at, we've got to play all these qualifying rounds and stuff like that. And the first game was against Royston at home. High-scoring game against the team lower than us, 7-0 victory against them. The next round, what a draw this was. Norwich City at home, local rivals. Fair enough, we had a derby game against them in the league a week prior to this game, and we got them in the FA Cup, second round qualifying. Another high-scoring game, 7 goals in this one, this time 6-1 to the Tractor Girls. Then in the first round proper, we got Basildon at home, so third game of the FA Cup at home again. Another high-scoring game, 5-0 this time, so a good win there. Then the second round proper, we had a long trip to Chichester in this game. Luckily, the trip was worth it. A 6-0 win there. Chichester, who are actually a team above us, but what a victory there.
Still managing to pull out the victory.
Big goal-scoring victory. Then a second round, trying to make history. Trying to get to the next round that I've never reached before. We took on Portsmouth, once again a team who are above us, luckily at home again, which is good things.
Not so high scoring this
one.
one.
It was a tighter game this one, but Paige Peak got the free kick. We're going to go on to her later to win the game 1-0. And then...
What a big game this was.
This was a big game. At the John Smith Stadium, against Huddersfield, at Huddersfield of course, and a 4-1 victory there to send us to the last 16, and of course, we know who we got in the last 16. And how many games did Man City have to do to get to this point?
Well, Man City have had a much easier ride through to this round. They only had to play 1 game. That's because of the league that Man City are in, means that they only enter at the 4th round of the competition. They had a pretty tasty fixture though. They took on Manchester United.
Both had derbies then.
Another derby fixture. Love a derby in the FA Cup.
Definitely.
And this one was a bit tighter than some of Town's games as well. 2 goals for United weren't enough, and City came through 2-3, the final result there.
Should we quickly talk about league differences between the two? Because many people, you may not know the league differences. As I said, there's a few times Ipswich have played teams higher than them. This is to a whole new level, isn't it? Yes. Where do Man City play? We'll talk about where Ipswich play at the moment. But
so the pyramid for women's football, there are some similar names, but it's slightly confusing. So Manchester City, they play in what's known as the Women's Super League. Now that is the top league in English football. It's the only fully professional league for women in Europe. These players are professional. They're paid. They're full time. They have to be that way to enter that league. Full stop. That is one of the requirements of being in that league. Man City are at the top of that league. They are one of the most decorated teams in recent women's football history.
Well, the holders of the FA Cup as well.
Holders of the FA Cup. They were at Wembley. We were at Wembley to watch them win last year. But Town, a little bit further down the pyramid. So you had the Women's Super League. It's your top league. Below that is the Women's Championship, just like the men's game. The second tier is the Championship. And then we move into what's known as the Women's National League these days. It's had many names, but it's the Women's National League. And then, so some of the teams we were talking about earlier, the likes of Portsmouth, they play in the National League, which is split into 2, the top tier of that. And then below that, the 4th tier of English women's football is where Ipswich Town play. And I hate trying to remember the name of the league.
So get ready, folks. It's the FA Women's National League South East Division 1. It's a bit of a mouthful.
It's not very catchy.
AKA, in men's football, it's League 2. So it's League 2 versus the Premier League. So
that's a good way of putting it.
Yeah, I think so. 4th tier versus top tier, basically.
And unlike Manchester City, Ipswich Town Women's players are not paid. They're not professional. No. Most of them, they all have jobs, or they're students. A lot of them are
basically, yeah.
at school as well. So there's a big difference there in the amount of time, the amount of training they get, the amount of time they have to prepare for these games, because simply girls playing for Ipswich Town have got other commitments, other jobs. So Ross, tell us, who are the key players for Ipswich Town coming into this game?
Well, a lot of people already know the one player who made the headlines in the previous round, Maddie Biggs, the 16-year-old sensation, you could probably say, scoring a hat-trick on a sort of professional sort of debut in a stadium. Not many people can say when they're 16 years old playing in a professional stadium and scoring a hat-trick in a massive FA Cup game like that. But yeah, she scored the hat-trick. She's one of the top goal scorers in the FA Cup so far for us. Just 16 years old.
16.
It's just crazy. It's just crazy to see. Now she's going to be looking to play against full England international, Steph Horton, the England captain.
Yeah.
It's amazing for her. Then of course you've got the young players, but then you also got the experienced players. You've got like Amanda Crump, who is the captain, the leader. I think for me, that makes that midfield. She controls that midfield. She's got a goal in her too. She loves scoring herself. She loves scoring penalties, definitely. Then you've got at the back, you've got youngsters. Then you also got experience. You've got Lindsay Cooper, once again, a stalwart in that defence. She's been in there basically since she's been 15. And now she's playing alongside Lucy Egan and Paige Peake, who are only 17, 18 themselves. Paige Peake's captained at England's Youth International. So for me, we've got a nice balance of young and old. Not,
Experience.
That's probably experience probably. But they are just key members of this squad, and I think that's the reason why this team's been so successful and how we've got this so far is just the balance act. And of course, Joe, the gaffer, we'll get onto him later, Joe Sheehan. He has built this team, and luckily we've had people like Amanda and Lindsay who have came through the academy and been here for so long, and they're key players as well. Man City, of course, a lot of people already know their key players, but for you, who are the key players for people who don't know?
So a lot of these players, and it's fantastic for the women's game, are starting to become household names. You've got, like you were saying there, Steph Horton. Not only is she England captain, she's Man City captain as well. She's been there for a number of years. She's a key defender, but like some of the girls at Town, she loves scoring as well. She'll be absolutely vital. She brings that experience, she brings that leadership quality, that England managers have seen in her for years. So she'll be a really key, whether she starts or whether she's,
That'll be the question. Bench. Some people have said to me already when they found out that the draw, will they play their big players in an FA Cup game? Like normally in the men's FA Cup, they normally say like Liverpool, they're going to be playing most of their reserve team because they're playing a lower league opposition and they've got loads of games. But then we've got loads of games. So would Man City think, let's rest some of these players are playing in the fourth tier team? I hope not.
I hope not too. I mean, they aren't playing Champions League this season. They're out of the League Cup as well. So, it's important for them to keep hold of the FA Cup, I'd say. Yeah. Get a bit of silverware out the season. In all honesty, I don't know at this stage. They are firing hot at the moment, having beaten Arsenal just days ago. So I would be surprised if none of their most experienced players were in there, but they might rest a couple. Apart from Horton, you've got Jill Scott, another stalwart of the England team. She brings such experience herself, strong midfielder, also likes to score as well, makes an impact on the pitch in every game really. And a name you probably heard of last summer a lot, Ellen White.
Yeah, she's...
My goodness, she took us on an emotional roller coaster last summer, Ellen White. So many goals, quite a few ruled out by VAR as well, which could have pushed that.
Another video for another time.
Another video indeed, but she could have pushed that total so much higher. But a fantastic signing for them. She hasn't been at City long, but she again is making an impact in the league as well. Bit of local interest. One of the younger players who I'm fairly certain will start will be Lauren Hemp. So she's a former Norwich City player. She's eager, I think, for her own sort of little personal derby with the Tractor Girls. Definitely. She's tweeting about, what did she say? Welcome to Manchester, East Anglia. Okay. I think she'll relish a real good tie with the Tractor Girls.
I think so, definitely.
And she's proof that, sort of talent from the region is going on to do really well at some of these top teams.
Yeah, definitely. And she most likely may have played at some point with some of our players in the region. Of course, I don't know if she played for Norwich. Well, of course she did for Norwich particular player, so she may have played against us at some point in those derbies. So I think there's going to be a familiar faces that are going to see each other and go, oh, played
And
against
of course, she's now got a couple of England caps behind her as well. So a really key piece. I mean, other lionesses in the squad, Kira Walsh, Georgia Stanway. It really depends what sort of team the new manager pulls out.
Definitely.
So we've talked about the players, Ross. Let's talk about the gaffers. Who's in charge of these two sides?
So, of course, town manager, I've already name-checked him earlier, Joe Sheehan. He's been appointed since February 2019. And he's had a bit of a ride since coming in. Of course, had to steady the ship from last season. Of course, we had some disappointing results and we're not in a great position in the league. But this year, we have the FA Cup run, and of course, currently we're top of our league. So he's had a good time of it at the moment. Of course, he's brought in a few of these under-21 players who's come through, you could say, our new academy system. He's brought them in, used some of our experienced players, sort of mixed it up, and then
he's getting results.
He's getting results. And I think that's, for him, this was a dream draw. Of course, he probably wanted, like a lot of us, at home.
Yep.
Because then everyone can go and watch it.
Yeah.
But we've got away. This is going to be a massive game, and I'm sure he's well up for it. I don't know if he's going to wear a suit or he'd love to wear a gilet. You know, one of those gilet sort of things.
Yeah.
Gilet, that's the word.
He does love a good gilet.
He does. So we'll wait and see on that. But he's
new
buzzing
style
for
icon for Phil Neville, maybe.
Yeah, possibly. So watch out for Joe. Yeah.
So let's look at the other side then. On the other bench, well, there'll be a strange atmosphere perhaps because Man City's long-running manager, Nick Cushing, has just left the club after a number of years in charge. He's on his way to the US. He's going to be assistant manager in the MLS, which is a fantastic move for him. But I think a lot of us sort of who are enthusiastic about the game were quite, not disappointed, but very sad to see him go. A lot of experience. He'd really built up that Man City team into one that's very capable of winning silverware and challenging to be the best team in women's football. So yeah, he'll have gone, and who'll be in charge? Well, it's the assistant manager is in the caretaker role, and that's a name that may be familiar to some Ipswich Town fans. Alan Mann, former Ipswich Town loan player in 2003. He came from Blackburn during that season. He was only there for 3 months, I believe.
Standard.
Made 11 appearances and scored 1 goal against Bradford.
Good goal as well. I was very young when he was here as a player, but I was told by lots of Town fans who watched it, the club in that year, and he's definitely up there as one of the better loan players we've had, because we've had a good 300 or so during our time, and he was up there as one of the best. So nice little added extra into this sort of game, a former player of the club in charge of the opposite team. So
interesting dynamic.
Very much.
So yeah, he'll be in charge. It'll be one of his first games in charge. So it'll be interesting to see, does that disrupt City at all? I mean, they are, like we said previously, they are professional players. Yeah. I'm not sure it will, but it will be interesting to see if he changes anything, any of the systems Cushing had in place. He mixes the lineup. I mean, he knows his team well, but is he secretly been thinking for a while, maybe if I was in charge, I'd be moving this player or doing this, I'd be playing this person. So it'd be interesting to see. And, with a new gaffer, will that give Town an advantage, maybe?
You never know, really. I think it's a different situation because Nick is leaving. He's not getting sacked, so it's a different situation. But it's one of those things where caretaker managers, when they come in, you never know what they're going to do, and I'm sure he knows the players well, I know the system well, but he may tweak little things that he's been looking at. Wait and see, and may give us an advantage. He's a former Ipswich Town player. You may go, let's be nice to them, and stuff like that. But you never know.
I doubt it.
I doubt it. No.
But I like the idea.
Yes. So, Katie, where are we actually going to be playing this game? We're talking about the players, the managers, and how we got here. But we're actually going to be playing. Of course, it's away.
It's away. All the way up in Manchester. Sadly, it's not the Etihad, but we aren't going to be far away. Yep. Next door, in fact, at the Etihad Academy. That ground is the home ground for Man City Women and for City's Academy men's sides as well. And they all play at the Etihad Academy. It's a bit smaller. Capacity is about 7,000, but I think the seating's only open in about half a stadium. Okay. It looks
for now,
hopefully.
Town
fans might pack it out. Yes. But in my opinion, there's a lot of ground sharing in women's football. Women's football teams tend to share with non-league sides, as is the case for Town, sharing with Felixstowe Walton. But the Etihad the academy is one of the best grounds, sort of equipment-wise, standard-wise, I'd say, in women's football in this country. So to be playing on a ground like that is so, well looked after, well cared for, and it is the home of a women's football team. I think it's just going to be an incredible experience for the Town players.
Of course, and of course the stadium as well is part of the Euros that England are hosting.
Indeed,
as well.
Yeah.
So that's another experience for some of these players. Funny enough, the Town Under-21s, most of the players who play in the first team, like Paige Peake, Lucy Egan, I think they were set to play there in December, but the game got called off for some reasons. So it's a chance for them to play at this stadium where they play their Super League games here. So some of the biggest players in women's football have played there before. So what an experience. In front of a good crowd as well.
It'll be a fantastic crowd, I'm sure. Like I said, capacity 7,000, but that last game at Huddersfield was just over 1,000 fans in for that. I'm fairly sure that's going to be higher this time round.
Definitely.
But it's going to be a bit different to some of the grounds that you're used to going to with them as their photographer. I mean, they're not always, because it's women's football, it's not always the highest quality of the pictures.
No, we won't go into that, but yeah, I'm sure this will be hopefully better catering. I look forward to that. That's what I'm looking forward to.
That's what's important.
That's an important thing, yeah.
We've heard about the teams, we've heard about the gaffers, we've heard where we're going, but now let's get to the nitty-gritty. What do fans need to know about getting up to Manchester? How much are tickets? That kind of thing.
So tickets can be bought from Manchester City's websites, £4.50 for concessions, up to £8.50 for the best seats in the house. So if you want to get close by, you want to see me pitchside, got to spend your £8.50.
It's a princely sum, but in all seriousness, you will be sat with Man City fans. That's just how it works in women's football. It'll be mixed up. Lots of different shades of blue in that crowd.
Definitely.
It'll be interesting to see. So yeah, Man City's website's the place to go for tickets.
Yes.
If you're looking to travel up to Manchester, it's already proving popular.
Yes.
So one coach for the fan supporter bus has already sold out. My understanding from the club is that places are going quite quickly for the second one.
The second one, is going pretty quickly. So if you want any more info, then email info@itfcwomenssupporterstravelgroup.com for 10 p.m. on Sunday.
So yeah, before 10 p.m. on Sunday, otherwise you're not going to get a spot on the coach, and you're not driving a new one up, are you?
No. And if you are going on a train, make sure to check trains, because there's probably going to be rail replacements because it's standard Sunday.
If you're heading via London, there will definitely be rail replacements for part of that. So check an alternative route or plan enough time to get up to Manchester over the weekend. And of course, the most important bit of information: kick-off. 2 o'clock.
When's the game kicking off?
2 o'clock.
Yeah.
2 o'clock kick-off at the Etihad Academy. It's fairly accessible in Manchester. You can get metro links and things across town.
Cool.
So that's all the important information, I think, there, Ross.
I think so, yeah.